There's a young woman released from a basement where I've been holding her for 20 years. I snatched her when she was a kid. And she tries to reintegrate with her family, her mother and her father, but her mother more have a need to connect with her that is very difficult and awkward for her. So it's about this woman's struggle to reintegrate, but really it's less about that and the sensational elements of someone coming out of a basement and more about how do we connect as human beings and what makes us ourself and how much are other people responsible for who we are, and gigantic existential themes like that, but beautifully written into a story.
I was actually really careful to not do any research because I didn't want to reappropriate anyone's actual experience or victimization into my fictionalized idea. And so I think that that's like fiercely private and also none of my business. But I was aiming to try to tell a story that was emotionally true more than factually true. And so I think that we've done that.
I think if we trick anyone into buying a ticket and come to see this because they want to know the story behind the headlines of those awful kidnap and abduction cases, that's fine, because anyone that gets to come in and see this movie will have a magnificent but very unique experience. And Nikole's written a story that may or may not have been inspired by those headlines, but they're not about those people or that situation. Nothing about any of these characters is predictable or generic or an exploration of some kind of documentary aspect of those things. It's so much more about who we are, and so much more confrontational, I think, and disturbing and challenging for the viewer than anything like that would be, because those cases were horribly abusive cases.
I think as a culture we're really focused on happy endings, and so the stories of women or people or anyone being returned home is always kind of touted as, and then they came home to their family at the end. And for me, that's really the beginning. Everything before that is very private, not any of our business, and survival. And then this next part, this coming home and this resurfacing, this is trying to live. And so that seemed to me to be a beginning more than an ending, and also that must be like fiercely more complicated than everyone lives happily ever after.
Well, I play the young Saoirse Ronan, which is young Leia, and she gets kidnapped and stuff. So I've been abducted. I'm the one in the basement. But it's really amazing to work with such an amazing director. I mean, she's amazing.
An actor.
Yes, and actor. I cried when I had to leave. I'm just being honest. She's amazing.
I cried when she had to leave too. One of the things that was so important to me in creating this character of Leia was that was the subtlety and the nuance, and that you really get a feeling of inner life. And the script is also very silent. It's a lot of wordlessness, and so Leia really needs to be a dynamic observer, and Saoirse really is just alive in every element of her body and her breath, and she communicates so much with so little, and it's and it hits you like a tidal wave, and I feel so lucky to have gotten to work with her.
There's another magical quality too, I think, to Saoirse, apart from the fact that she's just got it. She's able to transform completely. It's a serious film, but it's not a depressing film, and one of the reasons, apart from the writing and the search for hope in the story, is that you can't take your eyes off Saoirse Ronan. She fills up her life on screen with somebody reaching, and there's nothing at all predictable about who she is and how she is, from moment to moment or throughout the picture, and that's just a quality she has actually off screen as well. It made me think about when I read it and when I was filming it, and now having watched it, it made me and the people I was talking to afterwards think so much more about how much did my parents make me, how much am I a product of the people who've influenced me, how much was I myself, how many of my choices am I making myself. And that's why it's I think a fantastic film, and she's a great writer, is that if it was literally just an insight into the lives of people being kidnapped, there'd be a very small number of people who would find it accessible. But I think great storytelling is about being completely specific, which makes it completely universal.